Hey everybody. For this, I just wanted to talk to you guys about how you can select something to make one of these banana necks for yourself. If you're not let's say a seasoned luthier that's going to be able to do and have the machinery and the jigs for doing a one-way truss rod. It's a pretty involved process. Probably the best way to get yourself an authentic Unkert style Kramer banana head neck would be to go talk to Scott Smith over Musicraft and just make a phone call. That's probably the easiest way to get your hands on one of these, but I figured since I'm doing this, I'd key you into some of my trials and tribulations about trying to make these necks. All right, so first we should talk a little bit about what the original neck was about, right, or what it was made out of. The original neck was made by Paul Unkert at Kramer out of what he calls a chicken hawk neck. I referred to it always as a beak neck, and that was one of the earliest Kramer necks that were modified away from the Stratocaster shape. Originally, Kramer necks had the ball end Stratocaster headstock, and apparently they got a cease and desist according to Unkert. Now, a lot of this information I should say, off of listening to Johnny Bean's podcasts with Paul Unkert. Some of it was already known, but to hear Paul's description of everything, you're getting it from the horse's mouth, and there was some definitive material in there that was kind of speculation before, and I got to thank Johnny Bean for having the wherewithal to hunt down Unkert and bring him on a few times. So anyway, these necks were originally made out of early beak necks. Now I got an early beak neck here, and this is from that same era. This would have been one of the ones that they had to change out from a Stratocaster headstock, which would have had the ball end here, to making it what he'd call the chicken head or chicken hawk or beak neck sort of thing. And Paul Unkert used one of these necks to create the banana head neck. And what he did basically is removed some of the material here, created himself a surface from which to glue on a piece of wood in this direction, and then I believe right around here, I believe it was maybe the second fret. I can't remember right now. It's well known though, because it's where the guitar actually broke, was on the glue line, and the glue line happened to be right at a tuner. In any case, it would have sawed off something along this line and then glued another piece of it was actually birch, according to that interview he did with Bean, from his dad's bed or his grandfather's bed. So, he's got some birch and some maple in there. All right. So for what I wanted to do, or for what I did in this case, is use an all parts paddle head neck. Now, a paddle head neck is basically a neck that has a large sort of, it's big. Let's say it's when you get it, it looks like this. Imagine this is all wood. All right, and it's kind of already has a little transition here and a little transition here, but the rest of it is all wood. So you can basically cut out, most shapes. In the case of the Unkert shape, you actually do need to glue even more wood on there. I think you can see there's a glue line right here just past the sixth tuner right there. So I glued a little piece on there, traced out the profile from actually a picture that was online that I used a little bit of math to figure out, how tall. Well, this is kind of funny too. There was a picture of the guitar sitting on a guitar stand, kind of tilted back, taken by a guy. I believe his name was Dan Martin. So I did a little fishing around to see, what's the average height of a person? About 5'11", let's say. So we figure he's about 5'11", then where would they hold the camera? Then you figure that's about 4 inches down. How high is the guitar off the ground, and how many degrees pitch back is it on the stand? So I got a stand, put a guitar on it, used a digital sort of level to figure out what the degree of tilt was on the guitar on the stand, figured out what the angle of the camera was in relation to how high the guy was who took the picture, and then reverse engineered all that to figure out what the skew angle was. Took that photograph, put it in Photoshop, and then changed the dimensions of the photograph based upon what the skew angle was, and I came out with this shape. I printed that out on a piece of paper, cut it out. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is. Cut it out, and then this is what I use to make my headstock shape. So a little bit of forensic photography can go a long way. All right, so I cut out the headstock based upon that complicated disaster, and glued on the pieces, did all that kind of stuff. Now, the reason why I selected this all parts neck, and I think this is the one that, you know what, I'm going to use to make any one of these if I build another one. And in case, you know, every once in a while I get the itch to build something. And the reason why is I've used a lot of different necks to kind of come up with the banana sort of look. But for me, the real issue is that no other guitar neck really resembled the spec of the Pacer to allow me to get to something that looked exactly like Eddie's guitar. Now, the all parts neck, this is the conspiracy theory kind of thing, is made in Japan. When you buy the neck from All Parts, or at least this one, which was a few years old, when you get it, it has a little sticker on it saying made in Japan. Now, I know that these Kramer necks back in the day, as per Paul Unkert, were made by ESP, so those are obviously Japanese necks too. And the similarities between the specs of the two necks just makes this the winner for me to save a lot of time and not having to scratch build a neck. First of all, what I should talk about is one of the biggest things for me was the transition here from the nut up to sort of this upward curve. On every other guitar neck that I've tried to make a beak neck out of, this transition happens more towards the end of the neck here. And what you end up with is a different look. If you, let's say with this, let me show you on this one as the Floyd Rose not already installed on it. Now you can see sort of right in this area, it's already curving up inside of the area where the nut ledge is. It's already going up. Most other necks that I've seen, this recurve starts up here somewhere. So you end up with a headstock that looks longer, and to make the full curve, you end up being about another, let's say, 1/4 inch out that way. Now that may not be a big deal, but to me it always looked weird. It didn't look right. If you see on the Kramer neck, let's make believe this is the nut, you can see how it has that little wedge right there as well, and where the recurve, where the curve starts going up, is literally in the exact same place as it is on the all parts neck. So that made it a winner for me right there. Second being these fret markers, the fret position dots. The Kramer and the all parts neck have the same dot size and spacing at the 12th fret. So you'll notice, like on a lot of other guitars, that, you know, like let's say a vintage Charvel, they're very close together. A lot of Fenders, I think a vintage Fender might be this exact spacing here. So these might have been patterned off of that. But the two are identical. So that's really kind of a plus there too, to get the look right. The heel ends are very similar in terms of how much wood is remaining left after the 22nd fret. This might have a little bit more, but it's not really a big deal to me. The other kind of cool feature about the two where they're very similar is also in the skunk stripe. Funny enough, both skunk stripes start in exactly the same place and finish in the exact same place. So the look on the back is also very consistent. I mean, a lot of guitars that have made, you know, with the one-way truss rod, sometimes the skunk stripe will go up a lot further, or it'll be, you know, it just doesn't quite look right. So to me, these guitars, you know, they got to look right. So having the right neck is really a big part of that. So the skunk stripe being in the right position, the position markers at the 12th fret, the size of the position markers, the curve up here, all being good, this worked out well for me. So I figured if you guys are able to at least do some cutting and some gluing and some prep work and some of that kind of stuff, you can make yourself a pretty good banana head out of one of these all parts paddle heads. If not, just call Scott Smith and you can just buy one. All right, so I think that'll do for the ESP might have made this neck for all parts conspiracy theory. And I'll see you guys next time.